What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for another top 10 countdown, and it's one that I promised a long time ago. I'm sorry it took me so long to get it together, but I wanted to make sure that I actually had my list in the right order, if that makes sense. I wanted to make sure that it was all straight in my mind before I put out the video. So here we go. I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite songs from the Canadian punk rock band Sum 41. They also have roots in melodic hardcore, pop punk, a little bit of skate punk as well. The band has definitely evolved their sound from album to album, from Chuck to Does This Look Infected to All Killer No Filler to their most recent album 13 Voices. It's all over the place. They have been rooted in rock, but they've changed it up plenty of times, and I've pretty much for the most part been on board. Now with Sum 41, I'm not always like super into like their albums, at least in terms of like sitting down, listening to an entire album all the time. It's more of like a here and there type thing, and I've always kind of gravitated more towards a lot of their singles. So if you are wondering why there's a lot of singles on this list, there's your answer. Please keep in mind that this is my personal top 10, not yours, so that's why you didn't see your favorite song here perhaps. And if you would like to check the honorable mentions, you can see those in the description down below. Please drop a like on the video while you're here to show support for the channel. If you're able to, please support me on Patreon at that top link down below. It helps videos like this keep coming. Other than that, here is my number 10 pick. Despite some tumultuous lineup changes during this era, the album Underclass Hero actually ended up being pretty solid. It wasn't super consistent through and through, but there were some great songs there, and my number 10 pick is the title track from that very album. Hard to believe that it's been over a decade at this point since it came out. I remember it like it was yesterday. My friend and I got the album on CD and we just blasted it. He was a drummer, so he would try to do drum covers of it. We did like a fan video for one of the tracks on the album. It was just one of those wild experiences that I have a lot of memories with, so I'm very much connected to this band and this album in general. Underclass Hero did feel very fitting at the time. It has that distinctive lead guitar, and it's something that did kind of ingrain in the mind of like the youth of like rebellion and going up against authority. It's a topic that we've heard covered many times. I just like their approach here. It was very much more of like a pop punk type track, and it does settle in your memory, and I do think that it's aged pretty well. Despite kind of having a bit of cheesy lyrical content, I can forgive it because a track like this, it just doesn't come along every day. Number 9, The Fall and the Rise. This is off 13 Voices, and it's one of the final tracks on the album. Something about the progression of this track really struck me over time. I love the drums, the darker edge that it has as well, and the build-up in the vocals. It's something where Derek is shouting a little bit more in terms of like, not like a talk or a rap or a scream. It's just a hybrid of all of those things that it's hard to describe. It's very unique to Sum 41, and I think that he's always brought that to their sound. And the guitars here, definitely a little bit heavier leaning, as 13 Voices was in general. I was very pleased with the sound of the album overall, and while there were plenty of tracks that just didn't connect as a whole, this is one that kind of sent it over the moon in a big way for me. This is a track that started sending the album out right.
There's nothing to say now, the feelings are already dead, and I don't believe there's a way now. All that is said has been said, I'm waiting for another day.
Remember that time that Sum 41 got nominated for a Grammy for Best Hard Rock and Metal Performance? This was the song, Blood in My Eyes. I was so happy to see them get nominated because Island Records really dropped the ball on promoting them, at least for the album Screaming Bloody Murder in general. It was something that it only charted at like number 30 on the Billboard 200 albums chart, and I saw very little promo leading up to this in 2011. This was an album that definitely had kind of a harder, almost jaded feel to it, and this is the final album that we got before their kind of long break while Derek was in rehab rehab, getting himself together as his life was torn apart by alcoholism and addiction. But this album was riddled with plenty of those insecurities, and something like Blood in My Eyes definitely gives you a little bit of insight into that pain. I love the build-up in the chorus. There's nothing to say, he says, and how am I going to see with all of this blood in my eyes? It almost feels like somebody is kicking him while he's down. And this track does have a very nice groove to it. It is something that's maybe not super heavy, which did surprise me as to why I got nominated in the hard rock category, but I guess it was just because they were seen as a hard rock band in general.
I will bring you down. I don't wanna miss. I don't think you can handle this. You've lost what you can't find, never what you had in mind.
At number 7, we have the first song representing Sum 41's debut full-length album, All Killer, No Filler. And for all the fans already typing in the comments section out there, Half Hour of Power was an EP. It was never considered an actual album, a mini album, an EP. This is considered their debut. How much can I really say about a track like this? It definitely reeks of the early 2000s angst in the best way possible, in my opinion. You want to scream along that chorus every time, and the guitar leads, the drums, everything like that, it really stands out still. It's something that you can come back to this record and appreciate so many of the nuances in the grooves, and the fact that the record is a bit cheesy, but it also makes you very, very nostalgic in the sense that it's not a cheap nostalgia trip. You can go back and you can actually still glean a lot from this. Does This Look Infected is a bit of an underrated album in the band's discography. I know fans love it, but overall, I think if you talk about them, people will reference All Killer, No Filler, or maybe even Underclass Hero, but this and Chuck had a bit of a harder edge to them, and the track that I picked for number 6, it's Over My Head, Better Off Dead. This was so cool to see live. It really got me back into the track. I saw them with Pierce the Veil in 2017, and it was a great show. I just couldn't believe that Derek was back up on his feet, just all over the stage, electrifying once again. And even though they were billed second, like Pierce the Veil was the top star for the night, I honestly think that Sum 41 kind of outshone them here. That was a live performance though. I'm not comparing bands here. I just loved the electrifying performance of especially Over My Head, Better Off Dead. That supercharged chorus, the way that they have those big monster riffs, they just feel kind of jagged, broken in a way, but the whole time they're putting the pieces back together right in front of your very eyes. It's one of those tracks that does have a great captivating feel and energy to it, and for that reason, I still can't put it down. At number 5, we have another pick from 13 Voices. As I said in my review of that album, this is kind of like the hard rock version of Hotel California by Eagles. This is one of those tracks that does have kind of that same melody in the guitar solo, but I'm not saying that they copied or replicated it whatsoever. It just reminds me of that vibe. And I love the second half of this track even more. It does have a bit of a slow build to it. I do like the opening guitar riffs, but as he really just comes in with those vocals, you really blew it all to hell. That part right there where it just kind of shines a spotlight on Derek's voice, and then they go into some of the guitar leads from Tom and others, and everything the rest of the band just fills in. Frank on the drums really kills it on this track, and I think that there's such a driving force in the instrumentation that this track doesn't necessarily have to rely on lyrics or vocals as much as some of their other songs do. The instrumentation carries this song out, and it's pretty much just an instrumental, the final minute or two of the track, and it really just sends it home in a very big, explosive manner. I wish you guys could have seen my reaction to this track when it came out in 2011. I was like seriously so stoked on it. Like if you could have just like been a fly on the wall. There was so much great music coming out in January 2011, a lot of my favorite bands at the time, and it was my first year of college. I was hyped on this. It's a good memory for me. Sue me. Screaming Bloody Murder is the title track from that very album that came out later that year, and it kind of stirs the waters with that slow, distinctive intro. You hear Derek's voice here, and like I said with Blood on My Eyes, it is a darker feeling, almost like you can almost sense that somebody's starting to come apart at the seams. And this track is led by a very enthralling guitar. I love how captivating that is. It just kind of sets you back in the sense that you're like, whoa, I'm honed in on this performance. Like, I like what Derek's doing vocally. I like the lyrics here as well. The chorus is definitely big and vibrant, but at the same time cutting and slicing. But you have to pay attention to that instrumentation as well, because it almost steals the show. It's one of my biggest praises that I can give to the song. If you do not know this song, if you do not jump up and down and sing your ass off to this song, I do not know you. It's as simple as that. Sorry. You don't have to like it. You don't have to embrace it. You don't have to love the sound of that time. You have to know it. And me personally, I still love it. I still love this song because it might be a bit over the top in the way that it presents itself, but it reminds me of fun. It just reminds me of goofiness in music, maybe not taking itself too seriously. Just look at the title of the song. It refers to somebody who got punched in the face, and the album art for All Killer No Filler in general. It's just not taking itself too seriously. And a track like this is a ton of fun, especially in a party scenario or with friends driving along, everybody in the car singing, storming through the party like my name was El Nino.
Maybe we're just trying too hard, when really it's closer than it is too far. 'Cause I'm in too deep and I'm trying to keep up above in my head instead of going under.
Remember what I said about Fat Lip? Similar things go for In Too Deep, my number 2 choice here, also from All Killer No Filler. Both of these songs have definitely stood the test of time in a big way, over 15 years old at this point, and for me to keep coming back to it, there is something with that summery type rhythm that just keeps me hooked. It definitely has an enigma and a charm to it, but it's not necessarily just that. It's a very well done song in general for just pop punk music. It's a song that if people are talking about pop punk of the era, Sum 41's name is going to come up, and they're probably going to mention a song like In Too Deep, because this, along with Fat Lip, it really kind of helped define the scene at the time. This came out in 2001, and I really didn't know anyone that did not know and for the most part love and embrace this song fully.
Where I belong, walking disaster, the son of all bastards. You regret you made me, it's too late to save me. Regret you made me, it's too late to save me.
Number 1, Walking Disaster off of Underclass Hero from 2007. I love the marching drum rhythm of this track that leads into it, and the way that the lyrics do deal with a falling out with a father figure and maybe just an embrace of home once again at the very end with a sense of sarcasm in one's eyes. This is a song that was very special to me because, like so many teenagers of the mid-2000s especially, I did feel jaded in a sense towards my parents because they didn't get me, they didn't like my music that I listened to, and this song really just kind of cracked down on that big time. And I loved that part where the song just kind of levels off as he says, "As I fall," and then it just kind of sweeps you back into the song. The furious guitars, I just remember days of air guitaring. Once again, my friend doing like a drum cover to it. We did a fan video for the song that doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately, or else I'd show it to you. I just love everything about the hammering drums, the loud guitars, and the shrill of the vocals. It all takes me back to that space and time, and for that reason, I still love it, and it's my favorite Sum 41 song. Thank you so much for patiently waiting for my top 10 Sum 41. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. Leave your top 5 or top 10 if you feel so inclined in the comments section. And if you would like to see a ranked episode for Sum 41, me ranking all of their albums, help me get this video to 1,000 likes, and I'll see what I can do sometime this year. Thank you again for tuning in. If you're able to support me on Patreon, it's the top link down below. Seriously, even $1 a month does help videos like this keep coming, and it means more than you know to everybody who already supports. The direct link to my Patreon is right there in this annotation in the corner of the screen. If you would like to see another Sum 41 review, tap right over here. Another top 10 right over here. All of my social media accounts can be found linked in the description down below. And other than that, I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.